My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only, and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. All right, the entity is filling my hotel room with ongoing amplified audible activity. The sound is though someone's in my room stomping. A stalker is parked directly in alignment with my room on the second floor, monitoring me with mobile at 2315 South Euclid Avenue with their employees, okay? Doing so with license plate 6WCM708. These are psychopaths that are maintaining a fake sun over that mobile gas over my head at 11 and again at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, showing that pattern of stalking under that light source, and are stalking in the path, monitoring my device right now while they get in alignment to my camera, aware of what is being documented in real time. These are the demon-possessed that engage in criminal surveillance and exhibit severe mental instability while they are gang stalking, which you're recognizing is surveillance, which is underway as an entity, not just these two sex offenders who are monitoring a woman in a hotel room by stalking in the path in the specific environment. This is again license 6WCM708. They are monitoring with the City of Ontario. They're monitoring in the specific environment. They're doing so as a citywide effort as I remain at the hotel. License 1302476, the City of Ontario is here physically in the in my path, monitoring with the entity. So while I'm inside of the hotel room, which is why I'm capturing this documentation, the entity's filling my hotel room. I'm being surrounded with ongoing noise, a noise level that is also inexplicable and impossible to naturally occur. Nobody outside of the hotel room or in adjacent the adjacent rooms. Excuse me, there's only one adjacent room. The other is a closet that only the employees can access that's going to cause any sort of sound as though you're in my room stomping. All right, those are demons who are engaging in a demonic method of noise creation. This is the alternative to stalking, such as commercial planes, where mobile is also gang stalking. Okay, this is a psychopath that's engaging in what is pacing while you're looking at him. What is engaging with this little scuffle with his feet, he's monitoring. And engineered light remains present even in the while the fake sun is subdued. And remember, this specific environment is specific to my documentation and the entity that's aware that it's being documented. So in other words, while I'm at the venue and the City of Ontario is present covering up the fake sun, is no deviation from that pattern of conduct. It is relevant to malice though. And this is the entity that's engaging what is monitoring while they're walking underneath me at the hotel venue. And this is the P.O.C. It's 10:13 a.m. Thank you.
We don't have the other ones.
What other ones?
The other snack bags, we have these. So hopefully that can help us out a little
Oh, no,
bit.
that's fine.
Perfect, then.
I appreciate it.
Of
Thank
course.
you. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, this is also activity creation. All right, so this is the City of Ontario under the guise of what is the housing, while they are simultaneously engaging in the pattern of conduct. That's Title 18, federal stalking and use of a communication device, monitoring in the path. Doing so while they are under the fake sun, as I documented in the afternoon the other day, while the people of the state are pacing from their hotel rooms, and the same amplified audible activity, including plane activity over my hotel room, while the City of Ontario is passing out snack bags to the gang stalkers who are remaining at the venue. She is pacing while you're looking at her walking to and from the vehicle in operation of the communication device. This is the City of Ontario engaged in gang stalking, doing so with the third-party company Mobile, who's including its employees. And this is again a third party whose license plate is just in the path in order to document 6WCM708. This is an entity that's acting in the immediate environment, sharing in the elements monitoring. Pay attention to this third party right here. She's pacing in the parking lot. She walked east and now she's walking west again. She's pacing. So is traffic along the 60 freeway. So is the entity in the sky space, as I've documented, the City of Ontario maintains. And this is where the entity also engages in keeping the fake sun from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The entity is engaged in what is gang stalking me, engaging in the perpetual sex offense under the guise of providing what is a voucher for a hotel room where this entity has already committed a kidnapping in order to obstruct justice and is still exhibiting severe mental illness needs exposed, while a bunch of demon-possessed people who are corrupt government actors acting in the vicariously on behalf of the state of California in the City of Ontario, engaging in the P.O.C. Okay, it is currently 10:15 a.m. I want to be a short little midget of a male wearing the gray and white Nikes, the Mobile uniform shirt, and the dark green pants. This is a third party that's engaged in the pattern of conduct by place of employment. He's also representing the people of the state that's acting as a third party engaged in the malicious pattern of conduct as the people of the state share in that. He works under the fake sun. He is stalking a woman in a hotel, engaging in that pattern of conduct. It's domestic terrorism that Mobile, the establishment, is going to be prosecuted for, and the third party themselves. Okay, this is psychopathic behavior while they're stalking a person, and demons keep their back to you. This is the P.O.C. It is again 10:16 a.m. This is going to be converted into audio, and I will take images from the video with regard to capturing the images of what I'm describing. As you're paying attention to, Amazon Prime is making a specific statement to those who are watching the exposure of the state of California, which is letting you know what the rest of the United States government is doing. Amazon Prime is engaged in gang stalking. They've already shown you this through the Amazon Prime Air commercial planes gang stalking me, the Amazon Prime vehicles where demons are operating them, stalking me, molesting me with impossible light, and stalking under the fake sun, while then psychopaths, like you see here, keeping their back to you, are holding packages, engaging in the P.O.C. As I've shown, and Amazon Prime is very heavily documented gang stalking, and Amazon Prime is doing so not coincidentally off the 60 freeway. The heavy presence of Amazon Prime is letting you know how much of a threat and how hostile those demons of that corrupt company that's monitoring American citizens. Okay, that's what's relevant when you're seeing logos. Everything is specific to what it is that I'm exposing, and the demon possessed are making specific statements to you while you're witnessing me document them. This is not a coincidence. Amazon Prime is not alone in that. but pay attention to everything that you're seeing, because these are demons that are monitoring me. Amazon Prime wants to let the world know that they're domestic terrorists and that they are hostile to your Americans, to your rights as an American citizen. You need to know that. You're buying their products, you're placing them in your home, you're surrounding them, providing these demons access to your homes, and they're keeping you under surveillance, and they're also violent sex offenders, the company itself. Okay, this is Pacing by the City of Ontario, license 1302476. And they are the ones under the fake sun monitoring me, as I documented. They are engaged in targeting me with the people of the state remaining at the hotel. It is currently 10:17 a.m. This is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct as the people of the state that use commercial means like the 60 freeway and all of these businesses that are crossing path gang stalking on the roads and the highways, doing so in concert with the people of the state, all centered around a woman in a hotel room. That's the sex offender that's engaged in gang stalking in California. All right, it's currently 10:18 a.m. where you already know the fake sun is present. Covering up this fake sun is evidence of the government keeping its surveillance system that I'm exposing, keeping the evidence of its surveillance system under surveillance itself on the venue of the internet, where the entity is witnessing its own exposure. That's also relevant to the special needs population. This is the demon possessed that's no longer secretly existing amongst American citizens who are unsuspecting, who are ignorant of surveillance that they're subject to, and who are ignorant of maniacal psychopaths, those who are mentally ill, those who are stalking you and keeping their back to you, targeting, okay, which you're recognizing in the environment. And it is relevant to what is going to be the diagnosis of the entity that's gang stalking. Gang stalking police officers use the same tactic while the fake sun is over you, while the entity is engaged in what is targeting you through that specific environment, exhibiting severe malice. It's an unlawful threat to your life, and it's also speaking to what is the diagnosis of mental illness. It's psychopathic behavior, while a stalker keeps their back to you as though they're doing something else. And this is what's supposed to be suggested while the entity is engaging in the P.O.C. of gang stalking. Okay, these are like cockroaches. The more I document, the more that they come out. This is stalking in the path. Okay, this is P.O.C. All right, it is currently 10:19 a.m. at Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue. This is criminal facilitation by the City of Ontario, which is nothing other than a city in the state of California that is gang stalking in conformity to the documented pattern of conduct. All right, license 1302476. That's the City of Ontario and Economy Inn. That's engaged in the pattern of conduct with mobile. Mobile's using their business as a means of monitoring while the City of Ontario is accessing my room, monitoring me with the patrons who they've paid for their hotel rooms, and they're monitoring together, including the entity that is engaging in what is the maintenance of amplified plane activity. Okay, so this is the unlawful threat. This is what he did. The City of Ontario did the other day. Last week, gang stalking with helicopter activity, and then amplifying plane activity. At the moment, I want to be clear, it's the entity that's engaging in what is an admission to criminal monitoring, making any sort of complaint. Getting down to the detail of what someone is doing with your cell phone, you're engaged in some serious type of focusing on a particular patron, and doing so under circumstances where you're already exposed as gang stalking and you're already a kidnapper. And I just want to be clear, the entity that's engaging in what is substantially identical conduct in custody of their phones, they are the ones that are walking in front of me. They're the ones that are engaging in the pattern of conduct, and they have to be in my presence in doing so. And these are gang stalkers that are then stating to the manager, and this is again out of the mouth of the City of Ontario, that's stating that there was a mysterious complaint about people whose identity are unknown on a date and time that's unspecified, about details that are also unclear, just vaguely stating that I am people, quote, are uncomfortable with being filmed. Who these people are the people of the state, first of all. And what they are doing is criminal conduct, and they are speaking as the government that has already engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. It's coming out of the mouth of the City of Ontario that's paying for the rooms. They are making a series of admissions in doing so, and it's a threat with regard to obstruction of justice. And it's relevant to what also is just a common sense level of scrutiny. Who are the people that are making these complaints about being uncomfortable when I'm not putting my phone in anyone's face? when I'm capturing the fake sun that's over all of them while they're gang stalking, while they're walking around in circus light activity, while they're walking up and down the stairs, and they are not speaking to me, looking at me as though they're ignorant about my presence, but yet you have mysterious reports to the manager. This is the same manager, license KKB99 and license 9G TD454, the management that's engaged in gang stalking me as well. But I want to be clear, this came out of the mouth of the City of Ontario. That's while making this form of monitoring me, does so while the City of Ontario amplifies plane activity, and does so while the entity is monitoring. They're monitoring while they report that to me. So all I do is I inquire about, well, that doesn't make any sense. Who are you talking about, and when did that happen? Because of course nobody is stating anything to me, and if they do, it's an unlawful threat as well. But the fact of the matter is nobody is stating anything, because when you are in custody of your phone and the entity is engaged in gang stalking you in the specific environment in a manner which you're not supposed to be aware of, that same level of quote unquote mystery is the same ignorance that but for being engaged in surveillance on communication devices and being very much concerned about me and who I am and what I'm doing, while you keep your back to me, while you are maintaining what's supposed to be a position of security, anonymity by being a stranger, and you're engaged in what is then at the same time focusing on me by making any sort of statement to the third-party gang stalking manager that is supposedly aware of what I'm doing on my phone because I'm merely in custody of it. All right. So what you're not seeing is, and I've done that before, especially with the gang stalking police departments. They know that they're being documented. And also the entire entity of demons knows that they're being documented. These are demons that are failing in what's supposed to be their secret means of targeting you, and you're not supposed to be aware of it. And they're all supposed to be acting like they're not gang stalking you, so you're supposed to be ignorant about even being documented. The entity fails in that when they make these sorts of admissions, these concessions, which is supposed to derail and deter documentation. It's a criminal act of obstruction of justice, and the entity is doing so. I want to be clear. The City of Ontario comes to my room. The City of Ontario that is gang stalking me under the via the housing services is stating that in a friendly manner, but understand I represent the ordinary target individual's interests, okay? And like I stated, I don't have any qualms with if you want me to embarrass you and document, because what you're doing is not a secret, but I am diplomatic, in other words. So the entity is engaging in what is federal group stalking and monitoring, an egregiously violent sex offense, criminal conduct, public corruption, and doing it in the most cowardice, the highest level of cowardice, as you're also saying, and then the entity cannot handle its own execution of the system against itself. All right, you're gang stalking in a way that no one's supposed to be aware of, and I'm documenting you. And ostensibly, you're a stranger who's not focused on me, but yet because I'm merely holding my phone, you are assuming that I am, and you're necessarily assuming when I am not addressing you, I am not focused on you, we're not conversing with one another, and you are merely walking by me in the engineered light under the fake sun with the government that's stalking by planes and helicopters and the people of the state, but yet you are making mysterious reports to the manager about what I'm doing on my cell phone, which you're also admitting that you have specific knowledge of. This is the entity that's engaging in that together while you are witnessing the documentation. Again, 6 WCM 708 and the City of Ontario license 1302476 are gang stalking and they're gang stalking with the demons hotel rooms that they've paid for. This is criminal abuse of resources that Paul Leon is responsible for. He's not remaining as a mayor. This is criminal activity that they are using the funds of the government to engage in. All right, and then they're also engaged in what is, again, the entity that's being bullied by evidence against itself, and they are exhibiting paranoia while they have no facts that are supporting. Why are you making these unfounded assumptions about what I'm doing on my phone? The entity is always engaging in this when I am under the same level of evidence, but the entity doesn't share the skill set that I have, okay? I'm able to not even address them and prove to you that they're stalking. The fake sun shows that they're stalking, the impossible light activity shows that they're stalking, and their unintelligent co-defendant, the gang stalking police department, fire department, Ontario International Airport, proves that they're stalking. And while they are supposed to be the anonymous vicarious arm of the government, they exhibit what is hostility and engage in a criminal act of obstruction obstruction of justice while they make mysterious reports concerning unspecified times and dates about what I'm doing on a communication device, which you don't know unless are you in my phone? Are you hacking it? Or am I talking to you about my phone? Am I saying, hey, look over here, I need to get your face. I need to get you, what is it that you're assuming when I hold my phone up? If I'm not on FaceTime, if I'm not capturing the sun above your head, if I'm not getting the engineer light that's on the wall while you're not in a conversation with me, but you're engaged in that level of an assumption that it's about you. They are exhibiting mental illness even while they engage in the psychopathic pattern of conduct. They are exhibiting the paranoid schizophrenia that the targeted individual is supposed to be acting out as. This is relevant to malice, and this is the entity that has been overwhelmed with the evidence of its criminal conduct. License 1302367 is also gang stalking, and doing so with the gang stalking patrons. The entity is doing so in the parking lot right now while they are listening to me document. And this is the psychopath that's engaging in government action. This is all state action that's highly unintelligent, and I'm going to prosecute the unintelligent special needs population for monitoring me. Monitoring is an egregiously violent sex offense, and it's committed by the government that is engaged in currently gang stalking at a hotel room. And making statements to me about what I'm doing on my communication device is unlawful in involvement, interference with a federal investigation, which the state and no gang stalking third party and nobody representing the local government that's going to be prosecuted has any right or any actual legitimate basis whatsoever. They're totally, in other words, out of their jurisdiction in doing that. And they're doing it while that is the basis of the elements of monitoring at the same time. And I want to be clear, while I'm pointing out the nonsensical features of this mysterious report about what I'm doing on my phone and why someone would assume that I'm that I'm filming them, because first of all, you're assuming what I'm doing on my phone while I'm in custody of it, and you're assuming that what I'm doing on my phone is about you as well, unless you were sitting there listening to me. When you're acting like couldn't be concerned about me, you don't even know about my presence, and you're acting like you're engaging in just that. You're sitting there listening, aware of what it is that I'm stating. You're focused on it, and you're also aware that you are on my screen on my phone when you're not even looking at it. Those are the demons that are stalking with impossible audible activity and stalking with amplified audible activity. With simultaneity to my movement. And they make these concessions when they engage in these desperate acts of basically, stop filming me. Okay, but that doesn't work against a federal prosecutor, and it's an unlawful violation. It's a threat to the ordinary target individual. And remember, this is the entity that engages in this same conduct via the gang stalking police, who have no jurisdiction, who commit kidnappings, who are supposed to be the threatening aspect with regard to these demons that don't say anything still, and the police just mysteriously arrive where you're at. That's also to obstruct justice. This is the same tactic. All right, so I want to make sure this is what I'm subject to now while the entity is gang stalking with mobile. This demon that's pointing their gray-colored Mercedes-Benz, keeping their back to me. The vehicle is a means of, first of all, identification, and the vehicle is a means of light activity. This is presence in the path, and doing so with regard to the demons that are acting together in sync. So this is what the entity is just stating to me, and this is the entity that's engaged in what is sitting back and witnessing real-time, full exposure of how this system operates, and then seeking to just try to deter me from documenting. And I want to be clear, third party KKB99 and 9GTD454, the entity that's gang stalking is in no position to stop you from documenting. That's also relevant to federal prison. 8MS4924, I believe, gang stalking at the gas stall at Mobile. And I want to be clear, it's an unlawful act of obstruction of justice. In other words, no stalker, no terrorist. Understand, this is terrorism because it's the government. So this is ratcheted up. This is not some ex-boyfriend that can't get over you and is following you around until they get in a relationship with somebody else, and then they're able to get past you. This is the government that is stalking you. Okay, this is domestic terrorism. No terrorist is going to tell the federal government, or any aspect of that federal case is going to be hindered by a terrorist that wants you to stop the investigation, that wants you to stop exposing what they're doing, that wants you to stop documenting and gathering evidence. 6LXK485. This is what the entity is doing when they're gang stalking with the people of the state. Okay, they speak as the state, and no matter how unintelligent they are, okay, no matter how diplomatic the effort may be, Okay, no matter how friendly the messenger seems, it's not friendly under the fake sun in an engineered light with a gang stalking police department that commits kidnapping. All right, and the entity that engages in criminal summoning, with psychopaths that are engaging in passive-aggressive methods of stalking you, exhibiting severe mental illness in doing so. That's not friendly. You're looking at the big picture all the time with regard to the psychological torture that the ordinary target individual is subject to and has a constitutional right to not be subject to. While on the other hand, I'm not complaining to anyone, which is what I also told the city of Ontario that's paying for this hotel room, about the unreasonable level of disruption while a bunch of demons are gang stalking at the hotel. Okay, while they're walking, somebody's walking by me right now. That's not going to create any sort of vibration inside of the hotel room. While they're opening and closing their hotel room doors right now, it's not going to create any sort of earthquakes and loud disruption like it is when I'm inside of my hotel room. And the body of evidence shows that you already know that it's not a matter of hallucinating. You already know that it's not a matter of imagining it only in my mind. This is the demons who engage in what is also obstruction of justice, trying, oh, we don't want you to film us. And how do you even know, Satan, that I'm filming anything? How are you assuming what I'm doing on my device? You're subject to that same assumption then when you're holding it in your hand or in custody of it in my presence, because I'm not exhibiting paranoia and accusing you of the same. The entity is in gang stalking under all circumstances, and this is what you're going to be prosecuted for. All right, it's currently 10:50 a.m. The entity is just engaged in surveillance, gang stalking with the people of the state at the venue. Again, license 1302476. And 1302367. All right, doing so with the people of the state, license 6WCM 708, and the third party that are documented kidnappers on September 25th, 2020. Him and his, I don't know if it's his sister, his baby mama, his wife. She is with child. They're gang stalking and engaging in kidnapping as an entity on September 25th, 2020, and on the license plate is KKB99. The entity is engaging in this, and this is relevant to what is psychopathic behavior as well. Okay, the entity essentially wants to target you and wants you to stay quiet about it. They want to monitor your vagina, your genitalia, and doesn't want you to tell anyone about it. And they also don't want you to expose their identity. And that's an exceedingly violent sex offender and a maniacal psychopath, okay, that needs to be appropriately labeled by the Department of Justice. And that's exactly what the P.O.C. provides for. And this is setting precedent for how gang stalking governments in the U.S. are going to be treated under the law. What you say has legal relevance within the pattern of conduct. All right, and it's also relevant to your mental illness. All right, it is currently again 10:52 a.m. at the venue of Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue. This is P.O.C. The entity is engaging in maintaining. I'm currently waiting also, by the way, for it to get a new room, apparently. And this is the entity that's engaging in monitoring in real time. The city of Ontario is literally monitoring with the demons whose hotel rooms they paid for. I showed you that the other day under the fake sun where they're handing out bags of snacks and they're pacing, monitoring me at the same time. And the reason why I opened my door is because while I'm minding my business in my hotel room, the ongoing sound of what is earthquake-like conduct, sensational activity under my feet inside of my hotel room, while I'm standing outside amongst these demons who are pacing, monitoring right now, and there's no earthquake. Neither is that the case when you are engaging what is walking by on any level on the sidewalk or on this walkway. These are demons, and this is the psychopathic pattern of conduct, the passive-aggressive conduct of essentially stalking somebody and keeping your back to them. While they are engaging what is affecting you, harassing you, monitoring you, while you are looking on surveillance cameras outside of my room, the evidence of what is a population that has no sort of connection to me. You're going to prosecute for that level of malice by the government, okay? And this is but for the documentation showing what is the entity that seeks to engage in criminal defamation, okay? This is the entity that's engaging what is pacing outside of my room and doing so with the City of Ontario that's engaging in surveillance right now in the parking lot through those two license plates that I documented, and they're the ones communicating on behalf of management. Management that's engaged in gang stalking as well, that they, some mysterious report about what I'm doing on my phone, which you are necessarily assuming, and also but for gang stalking is not even a problem, because what I'm doing right now is nothing that anybody should be assuming has to do with them. They're gang stalking, and I'm documenting it, and the demons know that. And they're going to be prosecuted for that. It's obstruction of justice. This is P.O.C. You have a bunch of gang stalkers that are surrounding. The African-American male at the opposite end of the walkway is surrounding, while the entity is maintaining what is presence on this end near where I showed you last night, the third-party monitoring while they were seeking to block access to Wi-Fi, repeatedly throwing me off of the Wi-Fi network while the entity was stalking with the use of sirens, audible activity. The entity's in the same location, nearest room 240, on both ends at the opposite end of the same walkway, while the City of Ontario is engaging in surveillance as well, stalking in front of me, while the entity is engaging what is surrounding, and the demon, license 6 WCM 708, that you'll see in the images, stalking right in front, staring at a communication device the entity is monitoring, and these are demons that are intimidated by my ability to take them down individually and as an entity, and it's also going over their heads, which is with regard to the prosecution of the government, while they're engaged in obsessing over me. This group conduct is centered around my vagina as well, and that's what you need to know about the City of Ontario and the people of the state that are gang stalking by being patrons, which the City of Ontario is sponsoring terrorism. Okay, and these are sex offenders that are gang stalking together. I want you to listen to this. All right, and so what you hear is absolutely no footsteps, all right? But this is a third party that's gang stalking by crossing path, and the City of Ontario is sharing in engagement in that. They're criminally present in the path monitoring. The City of Ontario's prosecution is already complete. But what you hear is the absence of any sort of activity, meaning audible activity. When they're walking by, there's no creation of any audible noise. There's no potholes in the walkway. There's no shaking, ground-breaking, sensational activity. But yet when I'm in my room and cowards who are demon-possessed are stalking, they engage in what is sensational activity creation. And by the way, the African-American male that knows that he was being addressed, okay, also is not coincidentally, but pursuant to real-time knowledge, crossing path, and coming to engage in what is crossing path after remaining in relevant position on what is the east side of my person at the opposite end of the walkway. That's not a coincidence. So the entity is engaging in what is all manner of surrounding, including the 60 freeway, which just represents ongoing incessant patrolling. This is pacing, where demons are engaging in monitoring gang stalking as a citywide effort, and the freeway and the state of California is letting you know what is a basis of massive surveillance everywhere. On the roads and the highways, the entity is engaging in what is that P.O.C. communication device is represented, and ongoing incessant crossing a path is represented while the entity maintains a specific environment. So this is what's happening while I'm inside of a hotel room, where an entity concentrates that pattern of conduct against a woman inside of a hotel room. That is an exceedingly violent sex offense, okay? So this is, I just want to give context. This is what the entity is doing today, and while nobody is addressing me, this is the circumstances where the entity is always in a position of exhibiting on the physical, I will prosecute them based on the superficial veil that they operate under, okay? And I will also prosecute them based on the substantive evidence of the malicious pattern of conduct, all right? So the entity is engaging in what is exhibiting paranoia under the same circumstances when I'm in custody of my phone, and they're gang stalking as though they're oblivious to what I'm doing. And the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is the entity that's engaging in what is obstruction. That's license 6 WCM 708 and license 1302476. The female with the glasses bearing the lanyard, gang stalking under the fake sun at 1 in the afternoon, and she's handing out snack bags to the gang stalkers. She's monitoring with the City of Ontario that has no terminals over here while she's targeting me. And her identity, she's documented on the podcast, and she's also documented in images, and she is under the fake sun monitoring with the homeless population, which is engaging in that pattern of conduct, including the state actor that is communicating the wishes of the psychopath that's gang stalking as an establishment and gang stalking as a documented kidnapper. That is license KKB 99, who's monitoring with the City of Ontario, okay? The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct both on surface and in substance. This is P.O.C. The plane activity is another method of ongoing amplified noise. And while they're pacing back and forth on the walkway, there will never be any earthquake. There will never be any sensational activity inside of my hotel room. Where the demon-possessed are gang stalking in my face, the demon-possessed that are doing so when the door is closed are doing so with regard to targeting me also in the same specific environment with the government that uses commercial planes, psychopaths, and an environment where you're engaging in what is that level of, in that method of targeting with sensational conduct. And so I'm just speaking to what is the method of, for example, Woodside Senior Apartments, the elderly female in Unit 55, She's gang stalking on an ongoing basis while she is in her apartment, and the entity maintains the ongoing sound of the cracking walls and the ceiling when she is walking down the stairs, and I'm looking at this demon, and she's walking by on the sidewalk, and I'm facing her, and there is, again, nothing about her size and stature, nothing about the way she's walking, nothing that is naturally going to create what is the audible and amplified sensational activity that is coexisting with her stalking inside of the apartment when outside of my visual presence. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. And so this is the same P.O.C. at what is a hotel. The City of Ontario engaging in what is a plane activity like you saw under the fake sun at 7:16 a.m. where a bunch of demons are targeting you, exhibiting mental illness, including not only psychopathic a psychopathic disorder, but also paranoia, while they are maliciously engaging in a pattern of conduct that they are admittedly engaging in when they make statements that are unsupported on the evidence. I am standing in my door. The entity is gang stalking me in plain view, and they are making these unfounded assumptions about what I'm doing on my phone because they're focused on me. Okay, because they are indeed gang stalking. And like I said, prosecuting them based on their surface level assessment, and also prosecuting them based in substance of the specific environment and the gang stalking conduct of the demons who are stalking with light, stalking with sensational activity and amplified audible activity, which the City of Ontario shares in by flying over 231 South Euclid Avenue, my room, while the entity maintains that environment, gang stalking with the government, which you just heard them engage in, including the housing division of the City of Ontario, license 1302476, license 1302367, vehicle 1836. All right, they are engaged in Title 18 federal stalking together individually, and they are also representing the City of Ontario. So you're talking about each one of them subject to what is a prosecution for federal stalking, gang stalking, and the government itself that's acting through this population, and they're all demons. Okay, you've got a demon driving City of Ontario vehicles, demons driving Amazon Prime trucks on the freeway, demons stalking in the path of my hotel room, license 6WCM708, demons wearing a mobile gas station uniform shirt, demons that are filling up their gas tanks at the venue, demons that are present at the hotel, courtesy of the City of Ontario, in order to gang stalk and keep me under surveillance while they are gang stalking as the establishment themselves, employees of Economy N. Okay, it is currently 11:01 a.m. This is documentation of obstruction of justice and the delusion of the entity that does things like covers up the fake sun at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm going to get it the next day, and the sun is never going to be at one venue for 12 hours like I've already documented here. Under these facts is where the entity makes very foolish statements that you're going to prosecute for. It's relevant to and it's tantamount to what is an unlawful threat by the terrorists themselves, the sex offender themselves, that are speaking as an entity, seeking to obstruct justice with the intent to threaten you, with the intent to threaten whatever welfare or stability that you're relying on, with regard to the entity that is engaged in a pattern of kidnapping, while they are exhibiting severe mental illness, which is also a threat to you because you're a delusional psychopath and a violent sex offender obsessed with my genitalia, while you're also stating that you want me to not report you. This is, again, all relevant to the entity that's gang stalking in things like helicopters, as entire police departments, in a whole environment which is entirely circus-like with a fake sun and light that's just manifesting in the darkness, noise that is occurring and manifesting in inexplicable ways, in ways that, again, speak to the mental illness of those that are targeting as a group, as a public entity, like the City of Ontario is doing. All right. The American citizens that are going to be reporting the government that's targeting you, you are under no circumstances going to be subject to any sort of threat that the entity is not going to be prosecuted for. I'll state that because the entity is continuously gang stalking, and Alan D. WAPNER is not remaining in position. He's monitoring my vagina inside of this hotel room with these homeless demons, with these employed demons, with these demons who are engaging in what is gang stalking on the roads and the highways and at the surrounding venues. And he's going to be removed from office for it, for monitoring my vagina, for keeping my vagina under surveillance at every venue in the City of Ontario, using commercial planes. And I have a body of evidence that is serving to remove Alan D. WAPNER, a public official who is a violent sex offender and a demon-possessed gang stalker, in a position as the president of the airport authority, where all manner of inexplicable plane activity associated with the Ontario International Airport is documented with regard to gang stalking in the City of Ontario. Oh, bye! See you later. That's the City of Ontario that's engaged in surveillance with Alan D. WAPNER, okay, representing the same City of Ontario, targeting me together, okay? This is why you see this old man His picture clear as day, because I want you to see the toilet. And with regard to reference to my vagina, that he is obsessively keeping under surveillance because he's being removed from office. While you have demons targeting me in absurd ways, which is relevant to their mental sickness, which is going to be at the forefront of everybody's prosecution, and the government that's engaged in domestic terrorism through demonic patterns of conduct, such as sensational activity that coexists with you walking outside of my hotel room when I'm looking at the demons doing that, and that's never naturally occurring. And you already know that nobody's imagining anything. All right, this is what the entity does against target individuals that don't have any evidence to prove how they're being psychologically tortured and how they are subject to what are terrorism by a demon-possessed population. All right, it is currently 11:04 a.m. The City of Ontario engaging in surveillance. License 1302367 is stalking with light in the path while they're reversing. The amplified sound of traffic on the 60 freeway is a combination, that demonic synchronicity. They're engaged in ongoing surveillance and doing so under the guise of providing a hotel voucher where I remain subject to that P.O.C. These demons are documented via podcast. They're documented on video, gang stalking. They're documented in images at this venue as well under the fake sun, engaging in that P.O.C. while representing the City of Ontario. All right, and this is the unlawful threat that the City of Ontario poses, including while telling me and assuming in doing so what I'm doing on my device, which you are only assuming in substance because these demons don't understand the significance of what they state, and they don't know who they're talking to. They know who I'm talking to, but they don't understand the significance of everything. They're not strategic, they're not intelligent either, and they don't understand what you are deducing from the statements that you make. And so I'm breaking that down for you, and they are making a series of admissions when they make these statements, which are criminal acts by the government. The government that's gang stalking is not going to tell you to not document, and if it does, it's going to be relevant to what is federal charges of obstruction of justice. You're going to prison for that. While you want to act to conspire to murder and kidnap someone, you're going to tell that person not to report you to the feds. They're delusional. Okay, the entity is engaged in obstruction of justice in doing that. The entity is gang stalking through the population of unintelligent demons who are admittedly targeting even when they make unsubstantiated reports to the management about what I'm doing on my phone. Okay? When they're seemingly not targeting me or focused on me, and neither am I. Okay? This is the entity engaging in that, and they're showing how they are gang stalking even in doing so. This is the entity that's full of a bunch of sex offenders that are embarrassed about the fact that they're sex offenders, but that's not my problem. And this is relevant why you are going to expose it. All right, the entity has the fake sun over this venue right now while the City of Ontario is present. You saw them covering up the fake sun during the 3 p.m. hour. That's exactly the same circumstances. You already know the fake sun is here. I got it at 9:32 a.m. I got it at 12:52 in the afternoon. That passage of time is speaking to what is necessarily the maintenance of presence of that fake sun. These demons are delusional, and every statement that they make with the intent to obstruct justice is an unlawful threat, and it is going toward the entity that has already committed kidnapping at this venue. License KKB 99, license 9GTD 454, and engaging what is admittedly monitoring on my devices with the intent to obstruct justice. And mobile at 2315 South Euclid Avenue is sharing in that with its gang stalking patrons, 6WCM 708. It is currently 11:07 a.m. Bunch of gang stalking patrons, bunch of sex offenders is stalking at a hotel room. This is what is so pathetic about the entity. Gang stalking at apartment complexes, gang stalking in grocery stores, gang stalking in cafes, gang stalking in libraries, gang stalking at gas stations, gang stalking on the roads and the highways while I'm driving. Gang stalking while I'm living in Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles. Remember, the entity is keeping the fake sun, and the City of Ontario and the Ontario International Airport, Alan D. Wapner's permanent and public removal from office is also going to rest on the evidence of the sun being over me while LAPD is gang stalking, just like he is gang stalking me via the Ontario International Airport, where commercial planes are never flying over this hotel or anywhere over here when they're both arriving at or departing from the Ontario International Airport. The terminals located at 2500 Airport Drive and 2900 Airport Drive. He's being removed from office, showing that he is targeting as a demon-possessed and corrupt terrorist, a domestic terrorist, facilitating domestic terrorism via commercial airlines, which represent companies engaging in terrorism in this country. Okay, those logos engaged in capitalistic means of terrorism, while they're engaging in the pattern of conduct and the demon that's at the head of that operation, that criminal operation, that facilitation of domestic terrorism in the city is the one that's going to be removed from position, Alan D. Wapner, okay? A sex offender monitoring my vagina in this hotel room, okay? It's currently, again, 11:08 a.m. I want to make sure that I rattle out all that analysis and all those details. And it's relevant to what Economy Inn remains engaged in. You already know that the fake sun remains here until 7 p.m. So the City of Ontario can come here and as though it's only going to be looked at in a vacuum, because it's not. That's amplified audible activity. As impossible as my hotel room vibrating when a demon, all right, is monitoring. That's the pattern of conduct. Everything that these demons are doing on the roads and the highways is focused on me. That's also exhibiting their mental illness, okay? And the whole population of demons that are stalking want you to stop taking pictures of them. They want you to stop documenting them because they want to, the secret is already out, but they want to secretly monitor your vagina. They want to secretly target you, and they don't want you to tell about all their tactics. They don't want you to tell about who they are and how they operate. They don't want you to tell about their sexual obsession with the person that they're monitoring together. They don't want you to tell that they're all demons. They are delusional, and they are being exposed, and you're also going to prosecute for that. This population of special needs, the special needs population that's engaged in targeting American citizens are delusional as well, okay? That's what that's relevant for. It's happening at the venue of Economy Inn. It's 11:10 a.m. 6 UENO 65 crossing path with the City of Ontario and the same little midget from Mobile. He's inspecting a vehicle in the path with a flashlight. While the City of Ontario, you already know what these demons are about. Everything that they do is ratcheted up and escalated in volume. And I've also documented them monitoring me in my hotel room at this same venue. And they're doing it while, I want to be clear, the entity is engaged in stalking in the parking lot, license 9GTD 454. He's sitting in this parking lot, just sitting in this vehicle, stalking in the path with light, while the City of Ontario goes and empties the garbage. This is the entity that's sitting back and monitoring and then sitting back and watching me document. That's also not a basis to make unfounded statements about what I'm doing on my device. While you're gang stalking, you're engaged in gang stalking, period. You will always be the stalker. The entity engages in that P.O.C. and is doing it with the City of Ontario, so I want you to see that. What I documented in 2021, the entity is engaged in what is monitoring me. The City of Ontario is the very heavily documented gang stalker. The removal of Paul Leon is hereby being represented. But I'm in my hotel room, impossible light activities inside of my hotel room, and the City of Ontario is sounding inside of my hotel room, and you'll see in the two videos that I capture, the sound of the dumpsters are clashing when the vehicle, the dumpster wasn't even emptying the trash receptacles yet. In my following video, you'll see them going toward the dumpster and emptying it. But this is what I'm stating with regard to demons. The entity is engaging in the sound of what the activity is supposed to be engaging in, like the sound of the plane. When you see the plane, the demons do the same thing when the plane is at miles away from me and it's sounding inside of my hotel room. These are demons that operate dumpster trucks in the City of Ontario. And I've documented the City of Ontario being a sex offender, monitoring a woman inside of a private space, keeping my vagina under surveillance while they're driving dumpster trucks, that is. Doing so in the engineered light that's inside of my hotel room. It's documented at the same venue, and the City of Ontario is doing the same right now with the management at this venue, okay? The management is, again, the same third party that I've been documenting, license 9VTD 454. And these are the demons that are claiming that the people of the state, they don't use that term, the people of the state, but their co-defendants that they're gang stalking me with are making complaints about what I'm doing on my phone. They're uncomfortable with being filmed, assuming that I'm filming. And in doing so, and this is when you're documenting and prosecuting on the surface, okay? These are the facts that they're working with. While they're necessarily assuming what I'm doing on my phone, while they are at a distance from me, the City of Ontario, this demon at Mobile Gas, nowhere near me, and the people of the state that are at the hotel around me, I'm not aiming my phone toward them, not addressing them, nor do you have to in order to show that they're gang stalking them. And the entity is then going and making mysterious reports to whoever. It could be like at Starbucks, calling the police while they're engaged in what is making admissions about what they're doing, on what you're doing on your device, about what they don't permit at a private property, which is not private either. They're engaged in surveillance, and you're going to prosecute, and you're going to federal prison for kidnapping. Okay? And you're witnessing, again, putting Starbucks employees in federal prison while Starbucks is engaging in this exact same pattern of conduct with the exact same actors, the City of Ontario. Those demon-possessed, gang-stalking trash men and women went into Starbucks to monitor me, stalking using the dumpster truck in perfect alignment, doing so while I'm walking to and from that Starbucks, where the entity never had any sun over 2301 South Euclid Avenue, by the way, but that fake sun that did remain over that Starbucks is showing the criminal system that Starbucks engaged in conformity to that pattern of conduct. Starbucks that's also monitoring my vagina inside of that establishment. And they're going to federal prison for engaging in kidnapping, just like this venue committed on September 25th, 2020. With the same city of Ontario. Okay, that was the iteration of the same P.O.C. License 23DYLAN, crossing path. And all the demons, remember, they're crossing path while they're in their vehicles, while they're on foot. And what the entity just did with the city of Ontario, again, the demonic synchronicity, amplified noise of the dumpster trucks crashing while they are crossing path. This demon that works at Mobile has a flashlight in his hand. This is a method of light activity in path. Where's he working on the vehicle? In perfect alignment with my hotel room. The crashing of the dumpster, crossing path with a flashlight in your hand, monitoring, and all the rest of the demons are also pacing around. And you already know that the entity is gang stalking by planes because these fools provide me evidence. You're never forgetful of what the entity is already. These are the demons that are being prosecuted by their own mental illness, their own intellectual insufficiencies, their own short-sightedness, their obsession with me, and they're obsessed with the federal prosecutor that's using everything against them to prosecute them and expose them. Okay, again, license 6WCM 708 is still gang stalking, and they are gang stalking me with the patrons at the venue, the patrons that are engaging in what is obstruction of justice, while admittedly through the mouth of the City of Ontario Housing Division stating that someone unaware and unclear when it happened, because I haven't had any conversations with anyone except for right now. I was conversing with one of these third parties right now, but I don't have any conversations with, haven't had any conversations with anyone while they're again acting like, and they're necessarily acting like, because this is what gang stalking is supposed to appear as: strangers. I don't know you. I'm not focused on you. I'm not worried about you. I'm not gang stalking you. But then at the same time, so why would you assume that somebody's filming you? You're not even looking at me. What are you even talking about? That doesn't make any sense. And when did this happen? Who is it that was concerned about me filming them? When they were driving off the property, or when they were driving past me to their hotel room and they went up to their room for the night? When they were inside of their room and I was documenting sensational activity and I never came out of my room and I was documenting it? When I was capturing the video of the plane flying over my room in the direction southeast while the fake sun was over my head and I went upstairs and got that? At what point? When? Who said that? And when did it happen? This is the entity that's admittedly gang stalking, okay? This is the entity that is, again, wants to be a sex offender and just doesn't want to be exposed as a sex offender. That's the maniacal psychopath. That's the delusional, antisocial characteristics here. Very delusional conduct. You are going to be documented and exposed as a sex offender. You are going to be documented and exposed as a stalker, as a demon, and you're also going to be prosecuted and convicted. Demon possession is becoming legally relevant because the government's exhibiting this behavior, using this conduct, using these demonic features of a system to engage in surveillance, and it becomes legally relevant. It's going to be prosecuted as malice. That which is done, it's going to be addressed as mental illness. It's going to be addressed with regard to the public safety concerns. It's going to be addressed with regard to the intent to criminally defame another person when that mentally ill actor is targeting another. This is how demon possession becomes legally relevant, because of what the government is doing, and it's also proven through their pattern of conduct, which is bearing no reflection on any person that is the subject of this stalking system. And this is where you're necessarily corrupt, because that's common sense. When are you ever going to document a stalker and then that makes you look like you're mentally ill because you're documenting a stalker? That stalker that likes to hide in bathrooms? That stalker that likes to engage in what is making noise every time you pull your panties down? That stalker that's stalking you under an environment that's entirely supernatural? What does that have to do with your character? This is the entity that's necessarily corrupt, while their mental illness is put on full display, while they're a bunch of demons gang stalking you. All right, this iteration of the P.O.C. included the City of Ontario. All right, driving dumpster trucks. All right, the City of Ontario using commercial planes. The City of Ontario that is stalking using sirens and lights. The City of Ontario that's providing a hotel voucher and calling itself the Housing Division. It's the gang stalker of the state of California. P.O.C. It's 11:24 a.m. All right, so you will see the image of the fake sun over me in the presence of a bunch of gang stalkers that are both working at the venue and staying at the venue. The same sex offender from room 244, the gang stalker that you'll see, and it's currently 11:46 a.m. right now. So, excuse me. Yeah, it's 11:47 a.m. So the entity has the fake sun in the position that you saw it yesterday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's over the same staircase. Remember, I'm at the top of the staircase where this Caucasian female from room 244 is stalking in the path. As I go downstairs, you have the third-party male that's in operation of his device monitoring me inside of my hotel room. I step out of my hotel room to go get the fake sun that's over the same staircase where I'm documenting it 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 hours from now. Where, remember, the fake sun that's over me at the same staircase is supposed to be the explanation for the sunlight that's on the top of the staircase where this third party is gang stalking sitting there right now. This is where a bunch of demons that are also driving City of Ontario vehicles and also engaged in what is emptying the garbage at the adjacent venue, Mobile Gas, where I'm showing you the fake sun at 11 and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon over me. This is where a bunch of demons who are making admissions about monitoring my device, talking about that which they should not have any sort of knowledge about what I'm doing on my phone while you are gang stalking. This is evidence of admitting that you're monitoring. This is how these unintelligent demons are providing evidence against themselves. But it's also an unlawful threat because this is what an entity uses to engage in criminal summoning. Summit Towing is gang stalking. They are driving a black tow truck. Summit Towing, SUMMIT, is engaged in criminal monitoring, doing so by driving on the grounds of the venue, pacing. They're under the fake sun that's over the staircase. So while they drive into the parking lot in front of me, they are stalking with light activity, audible activity of the vehicle, monitoring my device. This is what a population is doing. You will see, with regard to the fake sun that is present at the staircase, this is where it's over the same staircase like I documented yesterday in the images at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm documenting this fake sun that's over the same property where a bunch of demons are gang stalking and very unintelligent in doing so while the fake sun is over the same venue at 7 in the morning. There is nothing other than the criminal pattern of conduct by demons who are engaged in what is walking outside of my hotel room on this same walkway. That's never going to create any sort of earthquake, never going to vibrate my hotel room on the inside of the room. All right, the entity is engaged in targeting, in other words. Demons who are gang stalking are targeting through such manners. And that's what inspired me to go get the fake sun where they're all engaging in that iteration of domestic terrorism, psychological torture, and the perpetual sex offense. This is the same entity that is threatening through the kidnapper, license KKB 99. Again, this is being given, information given to me. Apparently, this is what the City of Ontario is telling me that the manager said. The manager didn't say it to me, but we know who the manager is. This kidnapper from September 25th, 2020 with license KKB99. Apparently, this is what he is stating while he is gang stalking me under the fake sun that's still over his office, where the staircase is after 3 p.m., which is relevant to his gang stalking that remained underway and having the audacity to threaten me while monitoring at the same time, while all of the demons at his hotel, which is a corrupt establishment, engaged in terrorism and engaged in a sex offense as a business and engaged in what is stalking as an establishment for the purposes of the City of Ontario. Okay, these demons are engaged in targeting while they're walking outside and while I'm processing the podcast. This is when the earthquake conduct happens under my feet inside of my hotel room. So I just stepped out to show you the fake sun. It's 11:50 a.m. The fake sun is still over the staircase after 3 p.m. and that's what you'll recall. Just look at what I documented yesterday. And you know that it's still here because the entity is keeping the fake sun reflecting off of the windows of the same building after 7 p.m. where demons are working under the fake sun at 2315 South Euclid Avenue, Mobile. Okay, Mobile Gasoline's engaged in criminal monitoring. It's not just these sex offenders at the 60 freeway in Ontario on Euclid Avenue. Mobile, the corporation, is engaged in terrorism throughout the United States. That's what California is providing a template for you to understand how the American government is engaged in what is criminal surveillance in the United States. Okay, and the Ontario Police Department is also the template of being disbanded as a gang stalking agency that's stalking after the 60 freeway, monitoring just like Mobile Gas is, who's incriminated by the Ontario Police, not aided. You're not threatening the federal prosecutor. prosecutor, you're providing me more evidence. That's the same Ontario police that engaged in kidnapping while they're stalking like they are now, and that's why the kidnapper with license KKB 99 is subject to federal prison. And if that's a gang stalking immigrant, he's also not even welcome. Him and his impregnated baby mama, sister, whatever she is, you're not staying in this country because you're pregnant, giving birth in this country. You would be deported as well. The entity is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct with the Ontario police that's not coincidentally crossing path at the 60 freeway, where gang stalking is systematically underway. The entity is keeping a fake sun over me at this staircase, where relevant positioning is systematically maintained by mobile gas and by the people of the state stalking on a freeway, with the City of Ontario that does so with simultaneity to my reference to what is Mobile, the corporation that's engaged in surveillance throughout the country. It's a corrupt corporation engaging in what is a capitalistic means of surveillance in the United States. That's what you know about Mobile, while they hire demons in Ontario that I'm documenting and prosecuting. Okay, it's the same thing with Starbucks. Starbucks is monitoring American citizens. It's a corrupt corporation. They're engaged in surveillance of American citizens, and they're internationally, so they're violating people in other countries because you know what they're doing in the United States. They're monitoring American citizens. And Starbucks is very hostile while repeatedly engaging in what is obstruction of justice. And that's relevant to exposing that corrupt company that's engaged in criminal surveillance in the United States. With the to-be disbanded stalkers, the Ontario police cannot get enough of monitoring my vagina. That's why they're crossing path under the fake sun at 11:51 in the morning, where the entity is in an entirely different location, which is 507 North Euclid Avenue, on video at 11:54 a.m. at 507 North Euclid Avenue, while psychopaths, which are the Ontario police, are stalking me by keeping their back to me in that specific environment, gang stalking as a police department, which doesn't have anything else to do. And since they don't have anything else to do, and they like to engage in sexual violence and stalking in an archaic means, threatening a federal prosecutor is not accomplishing the purpose of targeting. You're going to be disbanded. They haven't got that. They are slow and inept. They're also corrupt, and they engage in a pattern of documented kidnappings. That's why they're being disbanded. They're still engaging in this pattern, though. While I document them, the demon-possessed engage in simultaneous presence in the path. The entity does that through gang-stalking police departments to communicate a threat. That threat is relevant for prosecuting and disbanding the Ontario police, who have still not gotten the message of what is literally an age-old system that's not only exposed, but you're going to be disbanded while you continuously engage in it, okay? Doing the same thing with American Medical Response. It's currently 11:53 a.m. You're going to look at the images of the fake sun. It's captured in a screenshot because I did run out of storage, but you can still look at the timestamp. The screenshot is captured at 11:44 a.m. The fake sun is present over this same venue where they're engaged in criminal summoning. The fake sun is over this same staircase, which I will remind you about at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is criminal summoning happening under a fake sun. That's American Medical Response exhibiting mental illness and public corruption. Psychopaths have no business driving ambulances, and it's not a distraction from the fake sun, like I'm speaking to, over the same staircase at 3:28 p.m. This is published for July 20th, 2025. And I'll go ahead and capture a screenshot because I like to give you vivid illustrations of the demons and the demonic environment where criminal surveillance is underway. And American Medical Response, these are demons engaging in surveillance, and they're doing so because demons find engaging in incriminating conduct is supposed to be a distraction, and it's not. It's incriminating conduct, which is also putting their co-defendants in the appropriate facilities. That's the significance. Where did the sirens sound? They didn't come from a distance. They started right here where you hear them. And also, where did they end? They didn't travel a distance away. They stopped right here where you hear them. And they're occurring with simultaneity to my referring to very damning evidence that they were supposed to be threatening by. The demons of the Ontario police are supposed to threaten me and stop me from speaking about it. That doesn't work. The demons of American Medical Response engaging in the same thing. It's the same City of Ontario, by the way, and exhibiting the same relevance with regard to removing demons from the medical field. Okay, these are demons that don't have mental, the level of sanity and clarity and healthy mindsets to be in the medical profession when you're using ambulances to stalk somebody. When you're a demon-possessed psychopath that uses the sirens for criminal conduct while those demons are manifesting. And also, as you break down their unintelligent system, those sirens weren't coming from a distance, and they didn't go a distance. They started and stopped right here where I'm at, where they're stalking under the fake sun that is present. And it's present, like I documented again, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday at this same staircase. That was American Medical Response in the Ontario Police Department, providing evidence relevant to the entity that is delusional with regard to communicating anything about an American citizen that is going to report support the government that's keeping it under surveillance and gang stalking and furtherance of murder and kidnapping, like the Ontario Police Department, like American Medical Response, like Economy N, who represent the people of the state, are currently engaging in real time. Okay, that's speaking to what is very severely demented, a whole population of lower beings. These are demons who are all focused on me together, and they're also all focused on my genitalia. And that's what American Medical Response is.
Excuse me, what
yes.
time you leaving?
11 is checkout, right?
12.
Yeah, so I'm waiting for a room. I was told by City of Ontario.
No, you have to check out and come back after.
Oh,
2
I gotta go
o'clock.
down there?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
my bad.
She gonna
Okay.
clean the room. It's already 12 o'clock.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
I gotta get out of my room and go down
Yeah,
there. Okay, I
because all
understood.
people are waiting over there. They already left the room. All
Yeah.
from the city.
Yeah.
They already left.
Yeah.
Waiting over there. So you must have to check out and wait
Yeah.
over there. Okay.
Wait
You'll
over
get
where?
another room after.
No, I
12.
understand. I forgot that I have to. You're right. Okay, I'll do that. Thank you. They're still monitoring me, but I want to get to the entity is keeping that fake sun over me at the same. Wait, can you hear me? At the same staircase where it's present at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. These are tactics which are very, I would say, futile. But the purpose of it is monitoring while they're listening to me document them. So I'm going to capture a screenshot of where the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct. This third-party male is gang stalking me under the fake sun yesterday on video. It's the video that I captured at 11:45. Inside of the hotel room, pacing a crossing path, while the entity is maintaining the fake sun and engineer light. He's gang stalking me in this video on July 19th, not yesterday, but the day before, July 19th, 2025 at 11:45 a.m. He is also an employee. He's monitoring me right now while he's referring to policies of this gang stalking establishment, which he's using to monitor. This is relevant to the federal RICO case. It's audible activity while he's referring to the checkout policy. He is gang stalking while as an employee with the City of Ontario that's gang stalking by the police right now under the fake sun. It's remaining over the establishment as I'm documenting at 3 in the afternoon, and the entity's engaging in that while referring to and engaging in the business of that establishment. So this is the video that I documented at 11:45 on July 19th. He's on video engaging in the pattern of conduct, the same one that just told me about this policy right now. But I want to get to that, and I'll go ahead and capture a screenshot because you'll see the fake sun over the same staircase at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's what I captured yesterday. Again, as I refer to that, that's when the demons sound sirens. It's criminal conduct and it's archaic. This is outdated conduct. The entity that is not prepared for what is a full exposure and a prosecution. So they're engaged in more criminal conduct, which is supposed to deter. It's not deterring. You're being prosecuted and the case is already complete. There's no question about what Tracy Banks sought to engage in and who she's doing and what she's going to prison, in other words, okay? And it's the same legal analysis. But the purpose is to engage in gang stalking you while you're documenting, and that's supposed to stop and deter because that's what happens with the ordinary targeting individual. I'm here to expose all the tactics of psychopaths so that are engaged in surveillance from the beginning until the end, and the ongoing impunity, which is relevant to removal from the medical profession, relevant to disbanding, kidnapping, gang stalking police departments, is relevant to the people of the state going to federal prison for kidnapping with the city or state where you're subject to this P.O.C. While they're engaging in the criminal conduct in real time, the sirens is audible activity and lights, and the sirens did not go anywhere. And they're also relevant to what I'm stating because they're all focused on me. What am I talking about? That the fake sun is still here 12, 1, 2, 4 hours later over the same staircase where you know everybody, including the City of Ontario, that paid for this hotel room to keep me under surveillance is engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're demons. This is P.O.C. It's 12 p.m. on the dot. License 9HPH610. This third party is gang stalking. He arrives parking at the venue, engaging in the elements of monitoring and doing so under the fake sun, which is the entity engaging in the elements of monitoring. As I capture screenshots of the fake sun that's over the staircase, like I stated is the case, it is for your witnessing, again, demons who are being fully exposed and a government that's being exposed and prosecuted for surveillance. Engaging in a demonic targeting system. The fake sun is captured in screenshots at 12:21 p.m. This demon is parking, stalking, monitoring my device and doing so in that specific environment at 12:21 p.m. as I captured this screenshot of what is the supernatural. There's no coincidences here. It's the system of gang stalking. The fake son is over me while he is literally doing so. That's license plate again, 9HPH 610, driving the Nissan Pathfinder, engaging in what is business transactions with economy in as well. That's a gang stalking establishment proven to the specific environment, where the natural environment will never include what is the sun over me at 11:44 a.m. at the same address as I'm capturing at 3:28 p.m. July 20th, 2025, and the fake sun's over the same building, over me at the same building. Okay, when this demon gets in this Pathfinder and drives away, when the demons that are gang stalking at Mobile, while the fake sun remains over me, you're identifying mental illness, the psychopathic means of targeting someone, which is also psychological torture that entity engages in. This is a demon crunching cans in the background, gang stalking, it's audible activity. While they're walking by, it's not creating any sort of earthquakes. These are demons that are targeting when you're inside of the structure, which is the hotel room. While they're demonic pattern iconic, these are demons that manifest in such manners, okay? While you're listening to what is on the surface appearing to be, for example, recycling, you're actually witnessing mental illness by a demon-possessed person that's engaged in criminal activity by the government, okay? And I couldn't make that up. It's material that is made for the movies, but it's real life. It's gang stalking. It's audible activity in relevant position under the supernatural occurrence of what is the fake sun. That's also here at 7:16 a.m., where this is intentional activity creation pursuant to what you also know, the city of Ontario that's engaged in criminal surveillance and psychological torture and a sex offense as a public entity, and engaging in what is exhibiting mental illness in doing so. So this is the proof of mental illness that is supposed to be closeted. And it's also the provision of evidence prosecuting criminal surveillance, which the government that's acting with the people of the state are doing so. And it is all evidence that is made manifest in the same way that the demons are manifesting, as the documentation about their conduct and their condition is being published on the internet. All right, it's 12:32 p.m. This is P.O.C. $26025. That's a handicap license plate. They are stalking at Mobile at 2315 South Euclid Avenue at 12:58 p.m., where the entity engages in criminal summoning to engage in the elements of monitoring. So that's the government that's surrounding me, and also the government that's surrounding through the people of the state. But the government is surrounding with the means of sirens, audible activity in the environment. Fake sun is over me. And this demon is gang stalking at pump number 3 at the gas station, while the entity uses criminal summoning as a means of audible activity, while that third party is using a communication device to engage in that P.O.C. And as you are aware on video, the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario Police Department is sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct. While engineer lights all over the outside of this hotel building in conformity to the pattern of conduct. This is exactly what's happening at Starbucks. This is exactly what's happening at the Topor Professional Building. This is exactly what's happening at Woodside Senior Apartments. This is exactly what's happening at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, where LAPD is aiding and disbanding the Ontario Police that are gang stalking with the people of the state. All right, it is 12:59 p.m. That's amplified plane activity, while Alan D. Wapner's ongoing public exposure remains underway, while he is gang stalking, targeting, terrorizing, sexually violating a woman while abusing a position as the president of Airport Authority, where that Airport Authority is engaged in domestic terrorism using commercial planes. Every airline, which is representing a company that's engaging in a capitalistic means of terrorism in California. That's the significance of the plane activity under the fake sun and an engineer light at 12:59 p.m. while I'm documenting a gang stalker at Mobile, which is documentation of Mobile, the corporation. The establishment in particular is located at 2315 South Euclid Avenue. And its employees at that venue are gang stalking me. Everybody that's a customer, every vehicle that they're working on representing the federal RICO case against Mobile that is acting with the population, aiding in their criminal engagement and gang stalking me. All right, it is currently 1 p.m. on the dot. This is P.O.C. All right, another example of severe mental illness that is exposed, uncloseted, unveiled, for the warning of American citizens that are subject to targeting unbeknownst to you in this country. And these are demon-possessed people. And this is criminal conduct regarding surveillance and how it's underway as with regard to, this is a public corruption that the government's engaging with the civilian population, and this is mental illness as I'm documenting and exposing the ways in which people are stalking one person. So what you'll see in the images, I'm going to capture this, and it's also relevant to what's happening on my device at the same time. And this is the absurdity of the stalkers that do things like crouch in bathrooms to make sure that they are stalking in your path. Demons that are monitoring your genitalia with knowledge of what you're doing on the opposite side of the wall or underneath the ceiling and the roof that separates you if there are more than one floor, or the entity that's across the parking lot while they're stalking you and keeping their back to you, while the entity is gang stalking you in spectacular means like plane and helicopter. Okay, this is evidence also against this third party whose voice you heard monitoring me today, telling me about checkout. He was monitoring, and he's monitoring today. He's doing so with the government that does nothing other than prosecute itself. Plane activity is relevant to stalking under the fake sun that's also over me, while this third party is stalking in a hotel room on the second floor. And I've been seated on this second floor for a prolonged period. And this third party is necessarily stalking with regard to the perfect time to engage in what is crossing a path. And that's what he's doing exactly at 1:26 p.m. and 7 seconds. He's wearing the dark green or blue Reebok shirt. He's in operation of his communication devices. He's wearing shorts. He's also documented on video gang stalking under the fake sun at 11:45 a.m. with the same government that's stalking in planes, where there's a body of evidence showing how the entirety of that pattern of conduct and the mental illness of those that are surrounded with evidence, and they continue to stalk their own federal prosecutor and keep that federal prosecutor's genitalia under surveillance, harass and threaten that federal prosecutor, which nobody that's in any federal case is going to escape the severe repercussions for that. And this is the government that's doing so. So it's not less threatening, it's more threatening where the government speaks through and is stalking through demons like this third-party employee at Economy Inn who is hiding in a hotel room, and this is the reality of what they're engaging in. It's very pathetic, and it's also very demented. 1:26 p.m. he's crossing path by walking on the staircase. You already know what's all over the staircase. His shadow's appearing on the wall, moving across the stair on the building while he's on his phone, crossing path, walking downstairs, and he comes out of the hotel room, which is activity creation, stalking, and has been stalking, walks by me at the moment that I get onto my YouTube channel, and I look up a video, and you will see it, what it is I'm doing on my phone when under the fake sun and an engineered light in concert with the government that's stalking me using plane and helicopter like you saw on video, and like you can hear the plane activity now, is doing so pursuant to real-time knowledge. These aren't coincidences when they're engaging in the conduct that they engage in, which is in concert with the government. Okay, the government that acts directly, they are the government that's acting vicariously, and their whole entire unintelligent and demonic system is being laid out like play by play, iteration after iteration of the same pattern of conduct. This is a sex offender that is employed by the venue, Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue, who is engaging in the pattern of conduct, not looking at me, not addressing me, consumed with a phone conversation, walking under the fake sun in engineered light, and is accomplishing surveillance on the internet, on communication devices on behalf of the government that's relying on this sort of malicious and psychopathic behavior to engage in what is surveilling an American citizen, which is what he's doing. This same conduct where the entity's not addressing me and I don't address them, and they are again delusional with regard to still gang stalking somebody that's prosecuting them, and they're monitoring me and engaging in this conduct, and then you have mysterious reports to the manager when nothing happened. So who is it that I'm recording? Okay, when they are engaging in this conduct, not addressing, because this is the mask that they're supposed to be convincing and persuasively not targeting you, and they're delusional. Okay, and you know that the fake sun is here, and you also know that the sex offenders, the Ontario Police and the Ontario International Airport and every gang stalking airline are targeting here. Their whole unintelligent system is already laid out. And this is where the demons that are very much intimidated and also obsessed and addicted, and this is what you're witnessing, their mental illness, while they're addicted to the punishment for stalking me. Because that's all that they're getting. That's the reward. They're not stealing my property. Nobody is convinced that it's anything other than mental illness that is the reason for gang stalking in the way in which I've proven And that's mental illness on the part of the targeting entity while they're engaging in what is gang stalking as an employee. So at 1:26 p.m. and 7 seconds, this third party is in a hotel room where he remained for a prolonged period. And at the moment I get onto YouTube and search for Economy in particular, you'll see it in a screenshot. And I'm looking for what the City of Ontario did this morning with dumpster trucks, because I documented that iteration before in the engineered light, where they're all stalking as patrons and employees and gang stalking visitors, gang stalking third parties that are in traffic on the freeway on Euclid Avenue, and patrons of mobile and employees of mobile, who are all focused on and stalking me together. Okay, and then you have the mysterious, oh, I feel uncomfortable because I'm being recorded. You're admitting to gang stalking. There is nothing that is giving you information but for your targeting, but for your being a psychopath and stalking someone as a stranger with your back to me under a fake sun and impossible light activity with a government that's equally demented and delusional, providing direct evidence of targeting and demon possession, as though no one knows what it is that you're doing. This mental illness is what's putting people in mental asylums where they belong, where they can't threaten and harm other people, in federal prison where they can't kidnap other people, like the employees at this venue have committed already. Okay, this is the entity that is engaging in this P.O.C, and they are engaged in federal stalking. Okay, so you've got a demon at mobile, a psychopath that's stalking in their vehicle with their foot on the brake, in perfect alignment with me, where I'm at 2315 South Euclid Avenue, and the business mobile is being prosecuted. While the gang stalkers are welcome onto the grounds of that property to engage in criminal surveillance, okay? While patronage at that establishment is coexisting, i.e. the federal RICO case. Okay, the business is facilitating and directly engaged in criminal surveillance, which is no private speech. It's no constitutional right. And I'll go ahead and show you the red vehicle that's stalking in the path on behalf of that third party. And you already know the fake sun is here. This is criminal conduct by the property, the establishment itself. And you'll see that third party with regard to what I'm referring to. The vehicle is driving off the property. They were stalking in the parking lot, keeping their vehicle lights aimed toward me, which is, again, what you're doing when you're parking. Even when you are facing me, the entity is engaged in light activity while they're moving under the fake sun and engineered light. They're creating light activity while they keep their foot on the brakes, take their foot off the brakes. That's called light activity. All right, while they're driving, then they're creating light activity, and they're keeping me under surveillance in doing so. This is what the employee is doing, and the most demented conduct is remaining inside of that hotel room. And this is when he then exits. He was in there for a long time, and he's not cleaning. He could state whatever, because this is a business, so they're stating, oh, I'm in there. He's in there sleeping in the bed. He can say whatever he's doing pertaining to the business of Economy N. The business of Economy N is including gang stalking. Now, what you need to know, the reality is that this is a demon that's gang stalking me on the job and exits the hotel room in a relevant position on the second floor, where he's engaged in walking toward me, and it's creating an earthquake under my feet while I'm looking at this demon that's stalking with simultaneity to what I'm doing on the internet that just so happens to be related to Economy N as well, while he's doing so under a fake sun that's still over me at 1:36 p.m. This is the P.O.C. The entity is indeed engaged in federal stalking, and it's massive surveillance. And this is a population sharing mental illness, sharing criminal activity, all right, and sharing what is a delusional aspect to the mental illness, what is already psychopathic, and the inability to appreciate, first of all, what are consequences. This whole secrecy is gone, and also the fact that you are entirely sick as a whole population and an individual that's engaging in this conduct, and to continuously engage in it, you're delusional, you are still a psychopath. The entity's false logic is, oh, I keep doing it, and that makes it look like I don't know that you're documenting, and I'm not psychopathic because I'm still doing it. And if I knew that you were calling me psychopathic, then I wouldn't be doing it anymore, because a psychopath doesn't want to be identified. This is the whole false logic, to continuously engage in it, and that's rebutting the evidence of knowledge, and it's not. It's ongoing impunity. The superseding evidence is the specific environment, and you're continuously engaging in gang stalking, and you're a delusional psychopath while you do so. All right. The entity is engaging in this while the employees are sharing in the demonic pacing at the hotel under the fake sun, and it is including the business of Economy Inn, who has the people of the state that City of Ontario paid for their hotel rooms while they're gang stalking, and the current state is that they're monitoring me while I'm sitting outside of the room, and this is the Economy Inn's preference. They want us sitting outside until they place us in different rooms, which is all for purposes of monitoring. This is exposing me to the pattern of conduct. They're monitoring me inside of the hotel room. They're monitoring me now while I'm sitting outside of the hotel room. And Economy Inn has decided to engage in what is removing you out of the room, and then you just sit here until 2 p.m. when they will assign a different room where the same exact pattern of conduct is underway. So I just want to be clear what it is that I'm doing and what they're always doing on a CEASELESS basis. And this is while I'm looking at the demons, and you're looking at them while they're walking in the parking lot, while they're driving in the parking lot, while they're stalking in the path on and off the freeway, while they're engaging in what is stalking in the sky space over this hotel, which is never associated with any arrival or departure from the airport. You are necessarily targeting while you're flying anywhere near this hotel at 2301 South Euclid Avenue from the Ontario International Airport, especially the audible activity of it and the visibility of the plane, the low elevation where you are flying also southeast. And this is also in conformity to the pattern of conduct of stalking everywhere that I'm documenting in the city of Ontario, where they're engaged in this ridiculous and unpersuasive, we're taking off over the Starbucks at 706 West Hope Boulevard. That's why it's hovering over the parking lot. There's no takeoff there, and there is no takeoff over 2301 South Euclid Avenue as well. The entities engage in what is blatant stalking, and so are the demons that are remaining in hotel rooms, walking in and out of them, walking by back and forth in front of me, doing so, stalking in the adjacent parking lot of Mobile, all while they're monitoring what I'm doing on the internet, which is researching videos. And I'm going to include the videos where you can see the City of Ontario gang stalking demons that are using dumpster trucks to engage in the demonic aspects of the pattern of conduct. Remember, demonic activity is recognized in an environment that defies nature, and you're paying attention to it because otherwise you're ignorant about the illusion that surrounds you. And the illusion is also right in front of your face with regard to what you're seeing and then what you're hearing, the volume level of what you're hearing, the timeliness of what you're hearing and seeing, and what you're surrounded by, and the impact regarding everything that you are seeing and hearing, which is the demons who are engaged in targeting an American citizen. And their mental illness is going to be at the forefront of the prosecution of any and every gang stalker. So this is a means of correctly dealing with a mental health crisis, in fact, in the state of California, with regard to the criminal conduct, the public corruption of a population, a government that's engaging in criminal surveillance, and it's entirely the product of behavioral health issues that is born of this demon-possessed population that's engaging in what is a fully exposed system of criminal monitoring. Okay, license 8X17292 is pacing on the property of Mobile with license 8WOJ203, a demon that's crossing path on the property of Economy and driving in and out of the parking lot. Just like you'll see, I'm capturing these are demons that are walking in and out of the parking lot. This is pacing. Pacing is accomplished with more than one person. Pacing is also accomplished with one person that's going back and forth and back and forth. They're doing that on foot. They're doing that on bikes. They're doing that in vehicles. They're doing that in aircraft. This is a demon possessed that share demon possession, and all they're doing is pacing all around me. Okay, it is currently 1:41 p.m. This is P.O.C. at Economy Inn. This is federal stalking, so the entities engaged in monitoring my device while they're engaging in the elements of monitoring. All right, this is the City of Ontario, stalking by plane, and the entity is filling my hotel room with the extraordinarily loud sound of the plane activity, which is speaking to low elevation. The low elevation is relevant to what would be a takeoff or a landing. This is not what's happening at 2301 South Euclid Avenue. This is stalking by the City of Ontario using commercial planes. They are doing so in a direction. They're flying in this direction. They're flying southeast over me, stalking me, where the fake sun is no longer over the staircase like I documented. And it's going to be over that staircase yesterday at 3:33 p.m. But because I am in a different room, different location, that's where the fake sun is. which is the evidence of the city of Ontario that is gang stalking me, targeting me, and so are the people of the state. The entity is engaged in what is targeting a woman inside of a hotel room. This is a sex offense committed by the government that's gang stalking with Economy N, who committed kidnapping amongst the same population. AMR is crossing path on the freeway. The entity is gang stalking by all the logos that you see. These are corrupt businesses in California that are gang stalking, and this is demonic activity while the demon-possessed population is engaged in what is demonic pacing, which is what the freeway represents. These are demons using dangerous machines that are vehicles on the roads and the highways where federal stalking is underway with the entity that's maintaining surveillance. This is the same property where I am standing in this parking lot at 7:16 a.m. and the fake sun is over me at 2:14 p.m. That's the city of Ontario gang stalking by commercial planes exhibiting mental illness in doing so. That is a identification of the special needs population that's being exposed and prosecuted for diagnosis and conviction for criminal surveillance. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me while I am remaining and at this venue where the fake sun is present after 7 p.m. where it's rising and setting at one location, okay? And even as I remain at this property, the fake sun is over me where I am situated, where my room is, which is how you know a population is stalking one person. Okay, that's P.O.C. It's currently 2:14 p.m. This is the ongoing monitoring every movement that I'm making inside, including monitoring my vagina inside of the restroom inside of this hotel room, is the entity that's engaging in what is gang stalking. Okay, the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct pursuant to real-time surveillance, and surveillance is not only the criminal means that a police department, that a government is using, the devices, the instrumentalities of keeping a person under surveillance inside of a space like I'm documenting, or even outside, using cameras, using technology, but they're also demons in the specific environment, and you need to understand this is engineered light, and their presence in the environment is also accomplishing what is a satanic means of targeting. Surveillance is exceeding merely the use of internet and communication devices. These are the demon possessed that are engaging in surveillance, monitoring your every physical movement, and that's what I'm subject to. It is gang stalking. And the city of Ontario is engaging in it, and it's the removal of Alan D. WAPNER, who's monitoring my vagina inside of this hotel room. This is P.O.C. It is 2:15 p.m. where the natural environment will never include the sun being present over this parking lot over me, and a coincidence of, with regard, a far deviation from arrival or takeoff from the Ontario International Airport 2500 Airport Drive at that elevation, at that noise level, under a fake sun that's remaining. This is the entity that's engaged in gang stalking, replete with what is the vicarious conduct of the people of the state. The Economy N, the employees, and the establishment. This is relevant to the federal RICO case against the people of the state. They're gang stalking by residents. That's what these mobile homes represent. They know who I am. They are targeting where the entity is keeping a fake sun over me at the Economy N. The entity is engaging in what is gang stalking while the business of Economy N is built into all the entity is monitoring one woman together. License 9JBF670 represents the entity that is gang stalking together. This is P.O.C. It's 2:16 p.m.